Hello everyone, and welcome to From the Heart Friday with me, Jessica Brigden of JessBCreativeCardiology. And as it's the first Friday of the month, today we are going to do our Fun Fold workshop. And everyone who placed an order of $50 or more with me during the month of May received one of my workshop packets so they can craft along. So if you would like a packet for June so that you can craft along with me in July, then go ahead and make sure you place a $50 order or more in my online store. All of the details are in the video description there. All right, so we've got a fun workshop for you today. We are going to be making a double stack card, super fun, and let me show you here. It's got not one, but two panels there. So that's where you get the double stack from. Two panels for this awesome fun fold. And we will be using the Country Woods collection from Stampin' Up, brand new collection. It includes the Country Flowers bundle, which is where we're getting all of the fun pottery pieces and the teapot. And then we've got flowers and leaves in there. And those are also here from the Country Flowers bundle. Okay, the best thing is Stampin' Up is having a super sale this month. So when you purchase the stamps and dies together, you already get a 10% discount off of the two items. All right, for the bundle price. Stampin' Up is gifting an additional 10%. So if you were to take the stamp set and the die individually, this works out to be 20% off of that original price when you purchase a stamp and die bundle during the month of June here, which is pretty exciting. And you can also get your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine or your little mini machine, all right, anything that you would need to do your die cutting there. So those machines are also 10% off. And in my history of Stampin' Up with die cutting, we have never offered a discount on the cutting machines. So that is an awesome sale. Get 10% off the full-size machine, the mini machine, or even the boho blue mini machine. So you got a couple options there. All right, so let's get crafting. This is our double stack card. Again, if you were one who placed a qualifying order, not only do you get the workshop packet, but you'll also get my free tutorial because I know some of you do like having a printed instruction sheet along with the video. Hi Luann, hi Janelle, hi David. All right, hi Nessa, hello, hello. Let me go ahead and flip the camera and I hope this works out. I finally put up my new desk lamp. Hi Wendy, glad to catch you too. Yes, so hopefully the lighting situation will be better today. So let's flip the camera and take a look. All right, so flip that there. All right, so I have my catalog here open to the Country Woods collection. That is on pages 48, 49, and then you can see the two bundles here and the paper on pages 50 and 51. All right, so currently the birdhouse dies, the Country Birdhouse bundle, that's been super popular. These dies are currently out of stock until June 24th. All right, but Country Flowers that we're using today is available, and both the Country Woods and the Country Lace papers are back in stock too. So good news there on all fronts. So I took a little bit of inspiration for today's project from this sample card here. I liked the arrangement of the three pieces of pottery. So that was a little inspiration for my project. Let me go ahead and move that out of the way. I do have my June host code. Like I said, all orders of $50 or more placed with me during the month of June will get my workshop of the month packet so that you can follow along with July. All right, so this card, here we go. So this is the double stack fun fold. So you've got 1, 2, all right, there's your double stack, and then your space for writing is on the inside. It's a great way to showcase different patterns of the designer series papers. Like I said, I'm using Country Flowers, but you could use any bundle that you have. Lots to choose from. And in fact, I added a few to my cart when the sale started on Wednesday so that I could a couple, I mean, if we can save an extra 10%, right? 20% off just the Stampin' dies alone. That is a great deal. Aw, thank you. I'm glad you like this. So let me go ahead. I do have my pieces pre-cut. It just makes things go a little bit quicker here. And I am working with the new color that is called Basic Beige. All right, so Basic Beige is our card base. And let me just show you how I did the card base, because there are some different tutorials for a double stack card out there. I tweaked it because I thought it was important that I was able to make my card, or the main elements of my card, out of a single sheet of cardstock. So I'm using Basic Beige, and you're gonna take your full sheet. This is 8.5 by 11. So up here on the short side, on the 8.5 side, you're gonna cut this in half at 4 1/4. Okay, so just go ahead, cut your paper in half at 4 1/4. Now take the piece that's remaining here in your paper cutter and move that up to 5.5. So we are making just a full-size card panel as our base for this card. So this is 4 1/4. Oh, I need to get some new blades for my trimmer. All right, 4 1/4 by 5.5 is what you're gonna work with. You're gonna have this piece left over. So you're gonna keep your 4 1/4 by 5.5 piece, and then your 4 1/4 by 11 piece, and we're gonna work with these, okay? So on the 4 1/4 by 11, on the 11-inch side, you're gonna move your trimmer blade out of the way, and we're gonna do some scoring instead. So we're gonna score first at 2 inches. All right, and again, you can slow down the video, you can pause anywhere, and if you want the tutorial, then place an order with me. I'll send you the tutorial. Okay, so that's a perk. Or join my creative cardiology team, because we actually made this card for our team meeting last month, and so my team will all get this tutorial as well. All right, so we're gonna score first at 2 inches, and then slide it on over to 3 3/4 inches. Okay, so we're gonna make four scores. 4 score and 7 years ago. 4 scores, so 2 inch, 3 3/4. Then we're gonna slide over, open your trimmer arm to 7 1/4. And then on over to 9. Okay, so you can see that on this base, we've got 2 outer sections and then a middle section. All right, and this is the important part. This is what's going to create the flaps. All right, so you're gonna fold those inner score lines in and then fold out on the outside ones. And if you did it right, then your folds should line up, should meet pretty much evenly here, right in the center, okay? All right, that's it. That's all you need for your trimmer, except for the decorative pieces, okay? So for our card base then, we have our outer piece that is 4 1/4 by 5.5. All right, and we're gonna decorate that first. So we're gonna take 2 little strips of designer series paper. Okay, whatever patterns you like, but I'm working with the Basic Beige, and I use the Country Lace designer series paper for this. All right, so we have a 1 inch by 4 inch strip, and we're going to adhere these to the outside edges here of our base panel. All right, so give yourself a 1/4 inch border here. You don't want it right up on the edge, okay? So these are 1 inch by 4 inch. All right, so if you're following along, I would love to see if you use a different paper or bundle. All right, feel free to join. I'll post a link for my JessBCreativeCardiology Stampers Facebook group. All right, so that would be my public customer group. There it is. You do need to request to join, but I would love to see your projects. People are welcome to share their projects in there too. Okay, so just your 1 inch by 4 inch strips, outside, inside, and then we're gonna take this base that we've made. Go ahead and hold it together. We're gonna flip it over and put our adhesive here on the middle section. Okay, on the widest part of the middle section. And you only want your adhesive on the middle section, so don't go beyond that initial fold line there. All right, again, it's easier if you kind of hold it all together. And then we're gonna place this in the center between the designer series paper. So because this is 4 1/4, it's gonna take up the full height of our card. So kind of eyeball it there, so that you can go right in between the designer series paper. How am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. Make sure it's centered here on the base, right up at the top edge. Okay, can you see that? We're right at the edge. And go ahead and press that into place. So we've got this base panel with the designer series paper, and then our center portion, which is where the fun fold comes in, goes right on top. All right. So what you could do, you could use the back panel. You could apply a layer of basic white, and that would give you lots and lots of room to write a message if you wanted. For now, I'm only going to use this middle panel. So I've got a piece of designer series paper. I gave myself a little extra room. So this piece is 3 by 4. Okay, so you could actually go 3 1/4 by 4, but I just did a 3 by 4 piece of basic white, and this is going to go right here on the inside. So you could stamp a nice little sentiment. We've got some good ones on here. This is the country flowers, so we've got a sending love in here, best friends forever. The nice thing is these 2 bundles work together, so you could mix and match the sentiments. You could write a little message or a quote, whatever works for you. Okay, so that goes in the center. All right, and now we're gonna start with the double stack. Okay, so you need 2 squares. So we've got the base together. That came together pretty easy, right? Just 1 base panel, and then this fun fold piece. We started with just a 1 sheet of basic beige that was 8 1/2 by 11. Okay, put our basic white in the center, and now we're going to create our stacks. So we have 2 pecan pie squares. I thought that was a nice color, went really nicely with the basic beige. So we've got pecan pie. Now 2 different squares, so you're gonna match up. We've got a larger piece of designer series paper, a larger and a shorter. All right, you can mix and match, use whichever you want. So the smaller square, all right, so our smaller square of pecan pie is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And we are going to adhere the Country Lace Designer Series paper. This is 3 by 3. Okay, so the square is 3 1/4, and the DSP Designer Series paper there is 3 by 3. All right, so go ahead and adhere that together. The larger one is just a little bit bigger. This is 3 1/2, and the Designer Series paper is 3 1/4. All right. So it's important that the top square, the top of the stack, you want that, make sure that is larger than the bottom stack, so that when they come together, the larger completely covers the lower stack, okay? All right, so we're gonna work with the smaller one first, and we're gonna start from the right. the right side, and we want to make sure, so fold in this right hand panel, and then grab your square, and you want to make sure this is going to go in the center here while it's folded. You want to make sure it doesn't extend beyond that fold, because if it goes over a little too far, then your card's not going to close, right? So make sure you're within the fold line. Okay. And you don't want to be right over on the edge, because otherwise the front of your card's going to look really weird. You don't want it to be lopsided. So come right into the middle. Use that edge of your basic white paper as a good border there. All right, make sure you're even on the top and bottom. And then when we go to apply the adhesive, you're only going to put it on half of the square, all right, because you don't want to glue your card shut. All right, so draw little lines if you're using your Stampin' Seal or your Tear tape or your liquid glue, whatever you're doing. Just draw a little rectangle on here that is a little less than half of the square, okay? So that when we bring it back to stick it down, all right, make sure we're in the center. There you go. And then pull it down. If you did it right, your card still opens, okay? You don't want any glue hanging out the inside there. Okay, so that's number one. All right, so you got your base, you got your fold, and now we have the first of the stacks on here. All right, so this is actually, it looks like a lot of pieces. It looks super complicated, but I hope you find this video really helpful in breaking down the process and seeing it's really not as intimidating as it looks. All right, I love doing that for you. I love fun folds, but I do not have the patience for things that take, right? I don't have all day to make a card. So I hope you find this helpful, that I do the math and the trial and error for you so that you can make fun fold cards more quickly and easily, like have a stress-free experience here. If you find that to be the case, please make sure you like my video, give me that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and definitely be sure to share this with your friends, okay? All right, so we're gonna take our larger square and we're gonna do the opposite. We're going to fold the left-hand side in, okay? Ooh, you can see it starting to take shape. We're gonna do that same process. We are going to get a visual here first, okay? Line it up. Make sure it's centered here on the front, but also make sure that that bottom panel is hidden behind the top, okay? So you wanna, that's the important thing, make sure that your stack is hidden, okay? So looks like everything is in place really well here, lined up. Again, use whatever pattern. I think I'm gonna rotate it because this is the same designer pattern that I used on the outside, and my outside edges are going horizontal, so I want to make sure my patterns match. Okay, if you're not using a directional pattern like on my original card here, I just used the fun little the country lace background on there, the little crochet background, and so it doesn't matter which direction you go, but when you've got stripes, it's good to have them match across the front. So same thing, hold everything kind of in place. And when we go to put the adhesive, put it on just the left hand side here. Go a little bit less than half. All right, just draw your little rectangle of adhesive in place. All right, continue to hold it. And then we'll go back here. Everything looks good and square and lined up. Okay. All right, so once you've got it where you want it, then you can press it into place, okay? Otherwise, make sure, give yourself a little wiggle room first so that you can make adjustments if you need to. All right, but now we've got our card put together. The next step is the decorating. All right, and that's the fun part. You go ahead and mix and match, have fun with this. All right, so I used the Country Flowers bundle, and because I was using this for a team packet and also to send to everybody. So Stampin' Up! Policy is we're not allowed to include stamped images in our card kits, okay? So I use this because there's the different pottery in here, including the teapot. And so I just die cut those from various patterns of the designer series paper. What I love about this set too is when it comes to the flowers, especially if you're going to use a lot of flowers like I did on this project, it can be a little bit of a pain in the tushy, right? To have to run these flowers, to run a single flower through your machine 700 times. You don't want to do that. With this, it's nice. We've got multiple combinations that die cut both a large and a small flower all at the same time. So you can run all the dies through and have all of your die cutting. I even cut some extras and just keep them there in a little cello envelope. Okay, and keep them right in my kit, and then I've got them for next time. So I used the different pottery. I used the blue, and look how nicely I lined up that pattern. You could use either side, but I'm pretty proud of how I got the kind of the stripe and the leaf elements lined up here on my blue pottery. So I'm going to glue this one. This is the tallest of the pottery elements. So I'm going to glue this one down flat in the center, and then we'll layer the others over top, and we'll do some dimension for that. So I'm going to come maybe like 3/4 of an inch, half an inch up from the bottom. I don't want to go too far to the top because I want to make sure that I have room for my leaves. Okay, I don't want them falling off the top of my card. All right, so we're doing the first piece of pottery, and then let's grab our dimensionals. You don't really need to keep your card shut at this time, whatever works for you. So I like this little wood grain pattern. That was from the Country Woods paper. Again, you could use either side, but we have our little rustic kind of like a half a wooden barrel here. So that one I'm putting towards the left. And then sweetest little teapot, kind of fun to have that in here. So I'm going to use a single dimensional on my teapot. Balance that out there. And then for the lid, yes, there is a die for the matching lid. And if you use mini dimensionals, or if you you could cut a dimensional in half. That actually works about the best, or even use just an edge piece. Okay, so cut just an edge piece, half a dimensional there, and that is just about all you need for your teapot lid. And then you can place it directly on here. You can have it let a little steam out. However you want to place it here near your teapot. Okay. All right, so we've got our pottery in place, and then we just decorate with some flowers. I went ahead and did white. That was just, again, I used this card on page 49 as my inspiration for the front of this card. They used the 3 pottery pieces, and they just did white, and I thought that was real classy. So that's what I did too. If you don't like the white, if you receive this kit and you want to dress it up, then go ahead and use you could use your blending brushes. Actually, let me do a little bit of that. I've got, let me see here, a little bit of a chipboard in here from the backing of one of my paper packs, and I believe I had the new Shy Shamrock ink here on my blending brush. So let me ink that up a little bit, and let's just add a little touch of ink. I don't think I want to make it fully like super dark, but I do like adding just a little touch of color there. A little dab will do you. So that's what I'll leave it at that. Okay, and then you could use glue dots, or if you're using liquid glue, or even a little dab here just on the widest parts, just down here at the base. And that's because we're going to use a flower to kind of, so if you've got a little bit of glue sticking out there, that's okay, because your flower will pop up and go over that. So we're going to use one of the larger flowers here. Okay, and again, use a mini dimensional. I'm not sure what I did with my mini dimensionals. They're somewhere, probably buried on my desk here. So just cut an edge piece, little half an edge piece, and that will fit perfectly right in the center, or you could use a glue dot. All right, I like to press this in the middle a little bit and curl those petals up. Okay, so we got a little fun flower on the front. And then I've got a few more flowers here. So let's go ahead and decorate with those. So I've got a large one, and I guess let's do another large one. Again, if you press in the center and curl up on the leaves, then that works really well. Give your flower a little bit of dimension. I'm going to just stick that on a glue dot there. Put this towards the left flower. Now on this card, I used a couple little extra leaves. So you have the die set, you can go ahead and add a little extra pieces if you like, or just keep it super simple. Okay, so we'll do two large and a small on the front. Let's see, let's go down here. Kind of do a little trio of flowers. Okay, and I've got now on this card, I used the little gray, what are they? The Smoky Slate and Basic Gray Pearls. All right, those are part of the Country Woods collection. You can use whatever color flowers you want. In fact, I believe for those of you I sent kits to, I used the iridescent rhinestones. They got pretty little color to them. Okay, so we use those. And of course, small rhinestone goes with a small flower right in the center, and then large rhinestone with the large flower. I kind of like the iridescent ones here because it picks up some of the pink from the petal pink on the teapot a little bit. And it kind of reflects the color that goes along with there. So isn't that pretty on the front? All right, so if you want a little decoration on the inside here, then I cut a little panel of basic beige, just enough to go the length, or excuse me, the width here of our lower stack. And I'm going to, you could use any sentiment, but I wanted it to be happy. So even though I use the country flowers for the die cut elements, I'm going to use the sentiment from the Country Birdhouse. Hoping you have the best day ever. I love that. I thought that was really, really cute. So I'm going to use that one. Hoping you use the best day ever. And we're going to stamp this with, you could do Misty Moonlight, you could do Early Espresso. I'm gonna go ahead and use Pecan Pie or Pecan, all right, so that it coordinates with my squares. All right, but whatever color ink you have is totally fine. So this is 1 inch by 3 1/4. All right, and stamp that. It's a little crooked. All right, paper's got 2 sides, so you always get a second chance. Let's try that again. See if I can get it a little bit straighter. And if not, just glue it on your card crooked. Or tell the recipient to hold the card at an angle and then it looks straight. All right. Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay. That actually, I did stamp that straight that time, so I'm good. But we have to have a little humor when we stamp, right? Okay, so I'm gonna glue this flat. I didn't want to pop it up because it's on the inside, and so I want to make sure that the card still closes Okay, close this flat. So we got our little sentiment here in the center. Grab my glue dots again. Now you could really decorate the inside. Again, I'm just keeping it super simple. Add a little flower. Let's put one up here on the right, and then we'll do one on the bottom towards the left. Okay. There we go. Okay, looks cute, simple. It's kind of a, I like this card because it's got a little surprise. I mean, you've got the beautiful card front, but then you open it and boom, you've got a second layer of gorgeousness here on the inside. All right, there we go. So this is the double stack fun fold card. So 1, 2, surprise. All right, lots of room for a quote, sentiment, little message on the inside, but then you could also add, a panel of basic white to the back as well, and have even more. Right, if I don't think I have a full sheet. Oh, there I do. Okay, see, you could add a piece of basic white to the back and have lots more room. You could even decorate with a little strip of paper. So you got lots of room to write on here. I know that is sometimes a bit of an issue with these fun fold cards, is you're like, well, where do I write my message? But on this card, that is definitely not an issue because you've got lots of room for your sentiments. So I hope you guys, what do you guys think? Aw, yes, I hope you love that. Hi, Linda. Hello, hello. Oh, good. Yes. So Linda, I believe you have the little, yes, kit. You're going to use that as your sample. Absolutely. Sounds great. And like I said, I've got a tutorial coming your way too. Hi, Carmen. Hello, hello. Yes, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And what do you think? I think my light was a little bit better this time. I still got to figure out just a little bit because I've got a little bit of shadow going on, but hopefully that meant you could at least see the details on the projects. Yes, so this was it was the hard part, right? But it's really not that hard because you're, again, and if you're just joining, you can go ahead and watch the beginning and slow it down or pause it as you need to. But you start out with a single sheet of cardstock, whatever color of you're choosing, and then you cut that. You use just a quarter of that for your base panel, and then the other half you're using for your fun fold part, and then you have a quarter piece left over for another project. Okay, so it really it's a good project that maximizes your cardstock here when you do this, and you can totally mix and match your panels of designer series paper. Because I was using all kinds of different colors here on the front, I kind of made my lower panels match the front, and then it used a separate one for the inside. But go ahead, I love Stampin' Up's papers. They're double-sided, so you can mix and match, have lots of fun with whatever designer papers of your choosing. But I hope you give this double stack card a try. Hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I hope I took some of the mystery and a little bit of the anxiety out of these what looks like detailed fun fold cards. I hope you'll give it a try and see that it's not so bad. So again, if you would like a tutorial, the tutorial and the project kit for next month, all right, then anytime here during the month of June, you can place an order of $50 or more with me, and I will send out the tutorial so you can craft along with me for the Fun Fold workshop of the month for July. All right, and again, don't forget to take advantage of the bundle sale going on this month, an additional 10% off of the already 10% discounted bundle prices, and that includes any of the Stampin' Die bundles, not only in the annual catalog, but also those in the online store as well. So if you had your eye on, say, the zinnias or any of those fun bundles, then those are also included And if you don't already have a Stampin' Cotton Emboss or a little mini to take when you're traveling, now is a great time to snag one of those too. So thank you. Happy stamping. I hope you have a great weekend. All right, enjoy your Friday evening. It's a bit rainy here. It's poured and poured and poured. I felt like I was driving through a hurricane earlier today. But so far it's a little bit soggy out, but at least the rain has stopped until tomorrow. So it looks like a good weekend for stamping. So if it's a little wet and wild where you are, then I hope you enjoy some stamping. Stay warm, stay dry. And I will see you next week. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care, happy stamping, and we'll see you soon. Alrighty, bye-bye.